You're running a business, you're busy, you're stressed out, your nutrition and exercise may be a little off balance and you need to tweak it and improve. What are you going to do? You're going to listen to today's episode. Yes, indeed. My guest is Chris Howell, and he is the founder and owner of SPX Gym Design. His company builds gyms inside of hotels and multi-family buildings. And so he is in the construction space, but he's also in the health and fitness space. And you're going to learn a lot, not only about running a construction company, but perhaps more importantly, about your health and fitness. Let's dive right in. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Chris, welcome to Construction Genius.
Thanks, Eric. Happy to be here.
My pleasure. I'm very happy to have you on the show. I want you to just kick it off. Tell us what it is that you do.
Sure. So I run a gym design firm called SPX, and we focus on designing gyms for luxury hospitality groups, high-end multifamilies. And our specialty is we really focus on fusing interior design with custom gym and wellness equipment.
That's awesome. Who is your favorite contractor? You don't have to name them, but the type of contractor. What's your favorite contractor to work with and why? What sets apart, the good ones from the lousy ones?
Shoot, honestly, the ones that communicate. I would say the ones that actually some of my best relationships on the construction side have been the people that I speak with right when we get engaged with a client, and then we end up being best friends because instead of working through the clients and they just call me or I call them, I'm like, hey, we're just wondering, solved, no problem, don't worry about it. So instead of things ending up being blowing up, those are the best ones that just over communicate versus thinking that they're on their own trying to solve these problems. So
what phase of the construction are you usually brought into when let's say you're doing a ground up hotel or something like that and you're going to put in a gym there?
Yeah, shortly after the architect is brought on. So after they sign on a lease or they'll start a new build, we start looking at where cardio is going to go, where saunas are going to go and things like that. And so all the technical information we'll be able to start passing on to the architect and GC as well, so that they can start their trenching and get ahead of all that stuff as well. So quite early.
That's great. What I'm interested in too is your background as far as your athletic background and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, sure. So yeah, I played lacrosse at Hofstra University. It was a Division I program, and that was my first experience in strength conditioning. And I really liked it. I saw it translate onto the field with myself and teammates. Although that was where my interest lied, I still ended up going to Wall Street and work as a trader for a few years doing that. And I really had an interest in fitness. I also really loved business. And I had a curiosity with design. So I just was trying to figure out a way to kind of fuse it all together. Mm-hmm. And luckily, I had a great opportunity with a hospitality group where I got to do all three of those things. And then also learn a ton about architectural design, and then working with, what it takes. It's a massive team effort to get a building to go vertical and getting it all done and then help opening these places as well.
What was most surprising to you as you were getting into it in terms of the relationship between the design and the execution? What kind of slapped you upside the head there?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I always assumed and thought that both were would be very much on the same page, but I realized one is kind of selling the dream, and then more so on the construction side, they're what are we really trying to do here? How do we actually execute it? So I think that's where our group does a really good job, is that we can kind of live on the one side because we spent a lot of time with the execution component, and we're all right, well, how are we going to do this? And then offering some sense of from, whether it's saunas and cold plunges or the experience for a user going through the gym or a hotel amenity or multifamily amenity for the first time, what that looks like. And then just having a realistic sense of how that could get done. But yeah.
That's great. Now, this is the second time you've mentioned saunas and cold plunges. So I'm going to ask you a question. I have a sauna in my house. I also just bought a cheap cold plunge off of Amazon. You give me the protocol for sauna and cold plunge usage.
I got to ask you, is it a traditional sauna or is it infrared sauna?
Infrared.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I really like at night or first thing in the morning, if I get it kicked on, going back and forth a few times. So I'll go in at, I have a traditional sauna, so
Yeah.
it'll get quite hot in there. So I'll have it at like 185. I'll go in there for 15 to 20 minutes to the point where I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of here. And then I'll get out and then I'll go into the cold plunge for about 3 to 4 minutes. And man, I feel like I'm on cloud nine for a little bit there. So during the week, I'll do that maybe once as far as like, but on the weekends when I have some more time, I'll like fill an hour of doing that routine. I think that's it. I just feel amazing. I sleep like a baby too.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So my sauna gets up to like 170.
yep.
And I'm doing it pretty steadily, about half an hour a day, usually
Yeah.
in the afternoon or the evening in the sauna, and it really helps. And I'm a bit of a chicken when it comes to the cold plunge yet, but I'm trying to build that up.
Do you find yourself, you sleep better after you use it?
With sauna, definitely, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a dedicated sauna user, and when I
Yeah.
get out, I go and actually I hose myself off with a garden hose, so that's nice and shocking as well. But
Yeah.
I love using the sauna. I would recommend everyone to get a sauna in their house if you can.
That-
It's totally awesome.
It is. It is. It's great.
As you've been in the fitness industry for so long, and obviously in America it's weird, right? We're obsessed with fitness, but it seems like many of us are not fit. Why do you think that is?
Man, I feel like if I had a great answer on this, I would probably be more in politics or something like that. But I think it's tough because I think as much as fitness and gyms and sauna and cold plunge are an important part of, staying physically active, I think nutrition is the biggest lever that you can pull. You could go run a bunch of miles, but if you're just eating calorie surplus every day at night and snacks and ice cream and have everything super accessible, you're never going to out exercise your diet, but it's pretty incredible when you get really disciplined on from the nutritional front. You actually you can like work out less and see more return on that investment. It's kind of interesting, right? So it doesn't work both ways. One is definitely weighted more, no pun intended, I guess.
Yeah, so I think that's the fundamental understanding, right? That people have to have is, like you well said, you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. In your experience, both as a high-level athlete and being involved in the health and fitness industry, how long does it take for someone's body to adjust when they start making tweaks in their diet?
I think it depends on what your focus is, right? If you're like, I'm just going to eat salads and like really try to shock your system, like I don't think it's going to last so long, or you're not going to see something too great, because you need something that's going to be hold you compliant, right? Or sustainable. I worked with this dietitian. Her name's Melanie, and she's phenomenal. And she has like a great way of breaking the barrier. She's like, "What are you doing? Tell me about your day right now." And you'll be like, "Oh, I'm eating this and that, whatever." And like for me, it's chocolate covered pretzels. That's that's tough for me to give up.
Salt and sugar, baby.
So she says to me, she goes, "How many chocolate pretzels do you eat?" I said, I'm probably, I could eat a bag." And she goes, "All right, take a handful, put it in a bowl, put the bag away. That's what we're focusing on right now." I said, "Okay." And then eventually it became less and less. And then it became, "How much protein are you eating?" "Oh, sure, you need more protein." So then, she's taken out like these bits and pieces. Before I know it, I'm just changing my whole lifestyle, but it doesn't feel like I did. I'm still getting my chocolate covered pretzel. I'm eating a little bit more. And then, you know what, Eric, surprise, I have more energy throughout the day, right? Like, so I'm actually enjoying how I'm eating too, because I'm seeing the benefits. So I noticed that first. And then over time, like as you keep compliant with these things, you want to make it so you can do it for like the rest of your life, not just for the summer or vacation. That fluctuation is really hard to see results over time. So
yeah, it's interesting that sort of incremental change, not sort of a cold turkey approach, but the incremental change is really important. Hey, this is Eric. Quick break to talk about my course, The Shift. Why do I call it The Shift? It's because when you come into a leadership role, you have to make the shift from building projects to building teams of people. And that's a tough transition to accomplish successfully. So you need help managing your time, communicating more effectively, running effective meetings, building a high-performance team. And that's what the shift is going to help you to do, because I'll give you tools and strategies and frameworks to be a much more effective leader with my online course, The Shift. And it's online, so it's self-paced. There's 5 modules And it's 100% money back guaranteed. In other words, if you don't like the shift, if it doesn't help you to be a better leader, shoot me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, and I will happily refund you 100% of the money that you spend on the course. So go to theshift.constructiongenius.com, read all about the course, read the testimonials from folks who have taken the shift before, and then sign up for the course and immediately become a better leader. Now back to the interview. And then you also mentioned protein. I think one of the challenges that a lot of people have is sourcing their protein, right? Because we're surrounded by carbs and fat, but we're not necessarily surrounded by protein. It's more difficult to access. It's more difficult to prepare at times. What are some good sources of protein that you rely on in order to get that macro into your diet?
Yeah. So I love burgers. I love cheeseburgers. I love that. But there's a difference of like going to a restaurant and grabbing a cheeseburger versus making one on your grill, kind of exactly what you're making. So I actually make like a bunch of burgers throughout the week. And then so I know kind of exactly where I'm going to land in the evening because I eat relatively the same throughout the week and throughout the day. So that if my target is around, 180 grams of protein and I can get within plus or minus or a certain range of that, like if I go over, great. If I get close, great. But I'm trying to stack the probability of getting as close as possible to that as many times throughout the week. Just like if you're like on vacation, you're missing a bunch of workouts. That doesn't mean you're going to get fat or you're going to be out of shape. It just means, hey, like enjoy what you're doing. But throughout the year, you just want to have every workout, get in there, do a little something. And that's kind of like from the nutrition standpoint, like that's what I like to think about. Let's just stack some wins. So for me, I'll eat the 2 burgers, I'll eat some eggs in the morning, and then at night, if I know maybe that's where I get a shake. So I use that supplement to actually use it as a supplement versus trying to make the goal happen earlier in the day.
And you mentioned specifically 180 grams of protein. Where does that number come from? Where are you pulling that number from?
Yeah, I'm about 200 pounds. So in an ideal world, I'm hitting 200 grams of protein every day, right?
That's a lot, huh?
It's a lot of protein.
Yeah.
But I think the diminishing return of what is too little and what's enough is if I could get 200, that's amazing. But if I get 110 for me, and that's not enough. I have a different lifestyle than her. So I know for me, if I can get into like 165, 180, like I'm walking away with a little bit of a win there. So that's where people like to see 1 gram per pound.
Yeah.
But I think it's like 0.6 grams per pound is sufficient for most people, unless you're like on a bodybuilding stage of some kind, then it's like 1.2.
Yeah. I think another thing you mentioned there, which is really key, is eating the same things, finding what you like to eat and eating that again and again and again.
Yeah.
Because that can simplifies. And again, people can get bored, which can be a little bit difficult because then you have to pivot again and find something that's not boring. But that's definitely a really good thing to focus on if you can.
Exactly. And for me, I think for a lot of people, like I actually will forget to eat. So, or not forget, but I'll just be like, oh, it's too time consuming to think about what I need to go do. And I have so much work. So then it's like, if I have like, a thing like slotted that I'm ready to go, I just go to the fridge, heat it up or do something. It just makes that be like, all right, I'm going to get my protein. I'm going to get my meal. I'll get my calories. Great. Versus just being like, I'm just going to eat a big dinner. Over time, you're going to missing a lot. So I think the accessibility and convenience and setting yourself up for success versus like going to, a gas station and grabbing like a burrito or something like that is a little bit more tough. So.
That's great. Let's pivot now to the fitness aspect of it. We understand that you can't outrun a bad diet, but how much running should you be doing? What's your combination? And I'm thinking in terms of longevity, right? Because no one here is getting a 6-pack. We're not doing Mr. Universe or Miss Universe. We just want to be as healthy as possible. And as we age, make it as smooth as possible, you could say. What are some recommendations you have for how someone should balance cardio with weights and all those kinds of things?
Yeah. I think in general, like you definitely want to get your heart rate up. Like that's the main focus, right? So I think sometimes people will go to the gym and be like, I'm doing like a bodybuilding or whatever. And sometimes you leave and you don't even break a sweat. One, maybe you're just not really trying that hard. And then 2, I always think of like after playing sports, I always found it interesting. I'm like, man, like when do I ever like redline myself?
Yeah.
right? Where did I get that spot? Like, how long has it been? And I realized back, a few years ago, I was like, man, like I really haven't really like pushed myself like that hard. So I think even as simple as like a hotel workout that I'll do often if I'm on the road, I was just like 100 burpees as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And I mean, that'll get your heart rate going. And I know from longevity or like what people are saying, like health span. So not even just living longer, but living a more quality life is that having the ability to reach a heart rate close to like a max heart rate zone and be there once or twice a week and just touch it is really a great way to not only address cardio and physical activity in general, but I think from a kind of a mental aspect too is like it's not going to be like a not like sitting down and watching Game of Thrones. Like you're definitely going to have to get yourself out there and do something a little challenging.
Let's talk about that. One of the concerns that people have, I mean, I know like at my age, your joints have aged a little bit. Like I have an arthritic knee. So, do I really want to spend a lot of time sprinting? No, I don't. But then I have a rowing machine in my house and dude, that's sort of low impact. What are some suggestions that you have for low impact exercises where you can get that heart rate spiked up in a way that's not going to jack you?
Yeah, a rower is a great one. A Versa climber is another one that's super low impact. A ski erg, so especially on the lower body, and then having different type of interval training. So it's a different of like, hey, I'm going to go for a 5,000 meter row. It's like, hey, I'm going to row 250 fast. I'm going to row 250 slow, and then maybe do that for 10 or 12 minutes. Right? It's just a different heart rate zone that you can train. Which if you just get accustomed to do 5,000. It's going to get quite easy. Just like, if, you ran a mile every single day for 90 days, that mile is going to be like, I could probably do more now than I did before. So, but if you change it and you're like, hey, I'm going to sprint 400 and jog 400 meters, then it's going to be a different type of workout.
Yeah. I have this one workout I do. I really like it's 1 minute on, 1 minute off on the rowing machine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. That'll get you going.
Dude, it does. It does. It really does. Another thing I've been doing lately, I want to get your opinion on this. I have a weighted vest. It's like, it's cool. 20 pounds, but it feels more than that. But I've been using the weighted vest and I noticed that it jacks my heart rate when I'm just walking. It's interesting. What do you know about that kind of stuff?
I think it goes back to like what you're already conditioned to do, right? So if you're just walking around the block and then you add 20 pounds and then maybe you have like, you're managing a little bit of your pace a bit. It's like, wow, there's 20 pounds that wasn't there before. I think one thing I saw a while ago was like, hey, you like throw a weight vest on and clean your house. It's going to feel dramatically different with a 20-pound weight vest. Or I guess you could just have a kid and just carry them around. That'll feel different too. But yeah, it really comes down to like what you're conditioned to. So even wearing like 10 pounds, but you go throughout the entire day, is going to be a huge difference as well. So
let me ask you this. In your athletic career, have you ever sustained like a bad injury?
Yeah, I've torn my knees. Like I've torn my LCL and I've torn my MCL. So I kind of had the approach during the rehabilitation time of that is, I'm only really limited to upper body, or as I'm coming back, I don't really have the ability to I have the instability of the knee to just do running. So I'm, maybe on the rower and like the fan bike, like an assault bike or an echo bike. I liked using those, to introduce like that. But
how did you manage yourself mentally as you went through the rehab process? I'm asking because I've been working on my knee here for 6 months, and it's a real pain in the neck, so it can get discouraging. But I've got some rehab that I'm doing that seems to be working. How did you manage yourself through that rehab?
Yeah. So I tore my LCL first. That was a full turnaround of like 6 to 8 months.
Oh, wow.
So then I tore my MCL later.
Same knee?
Opposite knee, but a shorter time period. So right away, I was like, I could do this, right? Because I already did something that was a little bit quite harder to do it. Long story short, I ended up hurting it again because I thought I had a little false confidence. But so it ended up taking almost just as long. But I think the best thing to do is just constant blood flow into the region. So like the more that we avoid like moving the knees or things like that, I ended up finding that the more activation and more blood flow that I could drive to the area, the more not only just the immediate of like the like lubrication I felt over time, I felt like I was just getting a little bit more range of motion back, especially on the second time around faster, even though it was not really a comparative injury. But yeah, I think the blood flow is something that there's definitely a lot of people that talk about it, but versus like you go to the doctor and you're like, hey, don't put weight on it. It's like you still can drive blood flow to an area without putting weight on it. So
What did you find was, since you're working on the knee, what did you find was the relationship between like your hip and your knee and your ankle as you were going through that rehab process?
Yeah, I tried to address all of it. So like instead of like my warm up became a little bit more of like this knee rehab protocol of like ankle mobility, hip, core, glute, like everything around the knee. So not just only doing like split squats or knee thing, like knee specific. It was kind of like the whole chain that I was trying to think about. So
that's interesting. Now let's pivot a little bit back to your business then. What is your long-term goal for your business? Where do you see your business in 5 to 10 years?
Oh man, I would love to be scaling up and really just be that go-to partner for people that are trying to do something unique and special in the hospitality and multifamily space. We're not a perfect fit for everybody, but the groups that are really focused on health and wellness and pioneering like the next wave of it, I would love to just be that go-to firm for those groups. And then we do gym, but we do gym design, but we also do the wellness component. And then also, probably in that 5-year mark is trying to get more, build as many processes in place to deliver to the client so that they can be successful, whether it's sales, whether it's operations, whether it's financial management, like things that they can be like, oh, wow, this is more than just a layout and equipment. This is like a full turnkey service that we can use for our guests.
So you're then going to help them to make sure that people actually use the equipment once it's in there and fill up the space.
So we do that. We kind of do a little bit of that right now. So we'll help do the concept and the programming and like, hey, what's the user journey like through here? I think where we could grow into is providing more playbooks for groups to execute upon so that when they open, they're ready to go 30, 60, 90 days into their operations. So.
Hey, this is Eric. Hope you're enjoying my interview with Sean. Quick break to talk about my book, Construction Genius. Look at this book. It's so awesome. Effective, hands-on, practical, simple. No BS. Leadership strategy, sales, and marketing advice for construction companies. In other words, if you're in a construction company and you want to be a better leader, you must read this book. This book is so packed with simple, effective things that you can do to be a better leader, that all you have to do is read it, let's say a chapter a week, take one idea and simply apply that idea. For instance, if you focus on blocking time out of your calendar to work on high priority items and consistently do that over time, it will transform the way that you operate. And that's just one idea from one chapter on how to manage your calendar. So go out to Amazon. The book is only $19.99 for the paperback. That's called a killer deal. Buy yourself a copy, buy everyone in your company a copy. I promise you that you'll benefit from that. And let me tell you this, if you buy the book and you read it and you said, man, this book kind of sucks, I think it's a waste of time, shoot me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, and I will personally Venmo you whatever money you spent on the book. All right? All right, let's get back to the conversation. When you think about those hotel hospitality spaces specifically, what sets apart one hotel from another in terms of the amount of usage that they get of the space? Because, you go to some hotels and they're absolutely dead. And I mean, in terms of the gyms, but then other hotels, they're hopping. What's the difference?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of like the brand that the hotel is after and also the price per night. So wellness tourism is quite high. So brands that are more in the front of the pack there that are commanding like $800, $1,000 plus a night, those people tend to be more focused on health and wellness. So I would say they used to get away with just the hotel gym, but now the competition is not letting them do that. If you're spending $1,000 a night, you kind of have to have a small Equinox or Lifetime level because that's what that customer is used to consuming.
That's interesting. And then what would you say has been the biggest mistake that you made as you were building your company, and how did you recover from that mistake?
I think trying to serve too many people. I thought that, especially starting up, I was like, I'll take anybody. I'll take anyone that wants a gym. And I think as time went on, it was the more focused and more niche I could go, the more actually like I could vibe with the client better and be like, wow, yeah, it feels like we've been looking for each other. We finally found each other. Let's tackle this project versus being like, hey, oh, you got a garage? Like, I'll do the gym. And then there's this fracture, this is the experience. So trying to serve and trying to be someone for everybody, I actually found it was the opposite. So once I kind of realized this, I was like, all right, who am I going after? So and I really just enjoy that too, is I found that I could drive a better experience for like hospitality groups and multifamilies. And I think multifamilies are a really exciting space as well, because I think before they used to be like, oh, this is just the apartment gym. This is but now I'm trying to be like, no, you can tell everybody what to expect. And now people just rent or buy a condo and they have their awesome gym that only they can go to. So it's kind of a unique product.
That's cool. What process did you go through? Because I think a lot of companies struggle with this, with their niche, right? What process did you go through from trying to be all things to all people to saying, no, this is my target audience?
I think it's a great exercise for everyone to do. I called someone on my team and I was like, man, I'm making up a name. John Smith. He's killing me. He's calling me every day. He's taking up most of my time. He goes, hey, like how many clients do you have? And I was just like, oh, we have 10 right now, And so he's like, what rank are they? Like, where do they fall on that? I go, 10. Sounds like you need more 1, 2, 3s and less 8, 9, 10s. I said, yeah, exactly. And so I thought, who is my favorite client? Who are my top 3 best clients I've ever had?
Yes.
Or if I could clone them 100 times, that's who I want. So that's how I ended up niching down. I was like, oh, I really liked working with these hotels. And I called them. I was like, hey, did you guys have a good experience? I'd loved working with you. We want to work with you on other hotels. I even had clients that were like homes, but I just liked that personality. And I was like, what made us kind of connect? And then so I wrote that down. So then I was like, all right, I want those. And so that's who I look for in my client avatars now. And so that's who I try to talk to in marketing. That's who I try to talk to during the sales process. But yeah, that's how I kind of tried to hone in on who I was going after.
How long did that process take you?
I would say probably about 3 months.
Yeah.
I also, looking back, it probably, could have took me 2 weeks, but I also had no idea where I was driving. I had no idea where I was going. And then finally I was able to land the plane a bit and be like, oh, wait, this could work. So looking back, I'm like, yeah, this probably could have been like a 2-week exercise, but in reality, it took me about 3 months to kind of figure out where to go.
It's really cool though, because what you described is an excellent exercise, getting to that avatar and starting with, who are my best clients? Why do I like working with them? What was it about them that set them apart from the pain in the neck clients? And then relentlessly going after that. And it's interesting when you get to that clarity, you can feel a little nervous at first because you're thinking, oh, I'm excluding all of this, but then really that singularity, that clarity, that focus actually makes you much more effective in the end.
Exactly. And then you have better clients and then they have better experiences and then your referrals are better. And then just everybody, you're starting to build like the expectation. So even people that come up to us now, they're like, hey, I don't know if we can afford you. Well, I'm like, why do you say that? I'm like, well, I see you do all this amazing stuff. So for me, I'm like, great, that's good marketing. But I need to understand, like, why do they feel like they can't afford me? So those are some different things that I'm trying to address now. But do I even want to be affordable? Right? Those are like questions I have to ask myself. So it's, I love business. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, I just went down this hole of like, I want to pursue my interests. I didn't know where I was going to land. And so, I'm super grateful what I get to do now. But
yeah, it's interesting because I think you have to be willing when you're doing that process of coming up with your avatar to understand that you're going to attract certain clients and you're going to repel others. And one of those points of attraction and repelling is your price point.
Yeah.
And you've got to be willing to embrace that and be okay with that, because that's one of the things that sets you apart in the market, so to speak.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
So then as we're wrapping up here, and I just want to pivot back again to the fitness and the nutrition side of it, because I know that many people listening to the podcast, like you, they may have been athletes in college. They get tremendously busy with work and family. Yeah. They would like to maybe focus just a little bit more in on their fitness and their nutrition, but not go cold turkey or start a whole bunch of different stuff. What are 2 or 3 things that you would recommend that someone does just to get started, to begin to make incremental changes?
Yeah, I think for me personally, the longer the day goes on, lower the probability I'll work out. So I personally enjoy working out in the morning. So if I can knock that out and be disciplined about like, hey, I'm going to get up 2 days this week, and that's what I tell myself I'm going to do, I'll do that. And then I'm like, okay, well, that was actually not, that wasn't too bad. Maybe I'll try 3. And then, I'll move to the nutrition side. Cause that for me, that's always the uphill battle. It's like, oh, can I get up earlier? Cool. How do I have 1 good meal or 2 good meals or something like that? I also think it's important to recognize and acknowledge that you'll have seasons throughout your life and your year. So just because you don't work out for 2 weeks doesn't mean you're a complete miss. Right? Just try to dial it in the best way possible. If you're traveling, you don't have access to a gym, and maybe just focus on 1 or 2 good meals. And then when you get back home and you're able to dial it in, just ramp back up the same way you did. Someone was saying to me, is like, hey, who would win if you did 5 pull-ups every single day for a year and the guy who did 30, 40 pull-ups one day on Wednesday? That guy missed one Wednesday, but if you did the 5, you're going to accumulate more volume over time. So that's kind of what we're after. It's like, just don't hit 0. Just hit something. So that helps me try to like keep up don't get too down on myself. If I'm missing workouts, I'll just go out. I have a garage gym, right? For the convenience of it. I think that's important. But just to get out there and just, even if I don't feel like, I'm just trying to move around a little bit. Boom. Then the next day, maybe that's where I get it, So
yeah, I love your approach. It's not it's simply trying to get those wins and making the wins. They don't have to be massive wins. They can be small wins. And then if you build those small wins consistently over time, that has a huge impact.
It's the same in business. That's how I think about it too. So
tell me about that. Yeah. So translate that into business then.
So every Friday, at the end of the week, whether it's just like an incredible week or even just like we could have had a better week, I'm like, fellas, I work with 3 other guys, great week. Nothing to hang our heads about. We're just building, right? Yep. And if we have a bit like, hey guys, remember this feeling, this is good stuff. So it's the same thing with working out. It's like, man, I didn't feel like we have a good week or we didn't have a good workout week. It's okay. We got next week. So it's the same thing. It's just, we just got to keep showing up. And that's the big thing, because if we don't quit, we can't lose. So it's the bit of the irony there. So if you just keep getting out in the garage, for my sake, it's like, I know that I'll basically, I'll have some good workouts, I'll have some bad workouts, but same thing with business. I'll have some bad days, I'll have some good wins, I'll have losses that I think I should have won, but it's okay.
That's excellent. Sean, I really appreciate you joining us here. Tell us a little bit more about your business and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So you can find us at spxfit.com and follow on Instagram or LinkedIn at Chris Howell or at SPX. Yeah. If you have a project or something, you could email us at info@spxfit.com or just on our website.
Excellent. All the links will be in the show notes. Quick question. Where are you based out of?
So I'm back and forth between Jupiter, Florida and New York City.
Okay, great. So New York City, what's the one restaurant someone should hit in New York City?
Man,
I know that's a tough question, but we ask tough questions here on the pod.
You know what? I really enjoy Emily's, which is in West Village. And it's an incredible pizza place. And they also have great cheeseburgers and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, I'm a sucker for that. But that's a great one. And then Catch Steak is a good one. That's an experience that you're getting there too. So.
All right. So Emily's in West Village and then Catch Steak. We're going to find that and we're going to put the links in the show notes as well.
There you go. Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
All right. Thanks for having me. See you, Eric. Bye.
Hey, hope you enjoyed my interview today with Chris. I enjoyed that. Lots of practical, simple things that you can do to be more effective in terms of your health and fitness. Some insights into how to build a business. I really like what Chris was sharing about identifying the niche that he wanted to go after and then focusing in on that. You can take that piece of information and advice and apply it in your construction company. Please share the interview with other people. Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit, and always remember that the show is brought to you by Kick-Ass Meetings. I've been working with construction leaders since 2004, teaching them how to run extremely effective problem-solving meetings that gets their people collaborating, taps into their creativity, and to get yourself a free copy of the Kick-Ass Meeting Report, go to www.ericanderton.com/kickassmeetings. Grab yourself that free report, read it, use it in your business. You'll find it extremely useful. And thanks again for listening.